Rain poured over the quiet train station, drumming against the tin roof like 1,000 whispers. The last train had just hissed away into the night, leaving behind the faint echo of steel and smoke. On the weathered bench sat a young woman, her dress soaked, her hair clinging to her face, and in her trembling arms, a baby wrapped in a thin, fading blanket. She didn't even know where she was anymore. All she knew was that she had been left with a baby, a name that wasn't hers, and a heart breaking beneath the weight of silence. The train that took away the man she thought she loved also took away every trace of who she thought she was. Her name wasn't real. The ticket she'd carried said, Passenger 42, and the man she'd followed promised her a home, a name, and a life. But when they arrived in this dusty town, he vanished, leaving her nothing but the baby in her arms and a note that read, "You'll figure it out." The station master eyed her with pity but said nothing. The lamps were dimming, and the world around her felt cruelly still. She pulled the baby closer, whispering soft apologies into the blanket. "I'll take care of you," she said, though she didn't even believe it herself. The baby stirred, letting out a weak cry that echoed through the empty platform. She tried to hush it, rocking gently, her heart pounding with panic. She had no money, no name, and no one to call her own. The cold night bit through her thin shawl, and she realized she couldn't stay there long. Every direction looked like a dead end, fields stretching into darkness, roads swallowed by rain. She pressed her lips to the baby's forehead and prayed silently, "If there's a God, please, send someone." From the mist beyond the tracks, footsteps echoed slowly, steady as a heartbeat. A tall figure emerged, broad shoulders beneath a dripping coat, a hat shadowing his face. He walked with quiet purpose, boots thudding on wet boards. She froze, clutching the baby tighter. When he reached her, he paused, his gaze soft but unreadable. His voice came low and gentle, like a storm that had learned mercy. "You shouldn't be out here, ma'am." She swallowed hard, fear and shame mixing in her throat. "I've nowhere else to go," she whispered. He looked down at the bundle in her arms, noticing the baby's pale face and trembling lips. Without a word, he shrugged off his coat and laid it over them both. "Name?" he asked. She hesitated. I don't have one." His brow furrowed. "Not yours. The baby's." Her eyes filled with tears as she shook her head. "He didn't tell me. Said it didn't matter." The cowboy's jaw tightened. He crouched down, meeting her gaze. "Everything matters," he said simply, and in that moment, something inside her cracked wide open. He helped her to her feet, steadying her with one rough, warm hand. "There's a cabin up the road," he said. "Ain't much, but it's dry and got a fire." She wanted to refuse, some small, bruised part of her still too proud to accept help, but the baby's faint whimper made her nod. The walk through the rain was silent, save for the crunch of gravel and the baby's soft sighs. The cowboy carried the child part of the way, his arms steady, his expression unreadable. When they reached the cabin, the firelight glowed golden through the cracks, a promise of warmth she hadn't felt in years. Inside, she sat near the hearth, thawing her frozen fingers as he poured her a tin cup of coffee. "Ain't much," he said, "but it'll keep you warm." She thanked him quietly, staring at the flames that licked the logs. The baby slept soundly now, wrapped in his coat, his little face glowing in the firelight. "You live alone?" she asked. He nodded. "Used to have a brother. He's gone now. Left me the land and too much quiet." There was something in his voice, something familiar in its loneliness. Days passed, and the rain turned to sun. She helped him with small chores, washing dishes, tending to the baby, mending his worn shirts. He never asked her questions she couldn't answer. Sometimes, she caught him glancing her way, eyes soft with something she couldn't name. One morning, she found him carving wood by the porch. When she asked what it was, he held up a tiny horse. "For the baby," he said. Every boy needs something that's his. Her throat tightened. You think he's a boy? She asked softly. The cowboy smiled faintly. He's got fight in him. Yeah, I'd say so. As the weeks slipped by, she began to laugh again, small, hesitant sounds that surprised even her. The baby grew stronger, and the cowboy, whose name she learned was Luke, became their silent guardian. He taught her how to milk the cow, how to mend fences, how to live off land instead of fear. One night, while watching the stars spill over the horizon, she whispered, "Why did you help me?" He took a long breath before answering. Because once, someone helped me when I didn't deserve it. Figured I'd return the favor. Still, shadows of her past clung to her. Each time a train whistle echoed in the distance, she felt her stomach twist with memories of betrayal. Luke noticed but didn't push. The past don't get to name you, he said one evening. You get to do that yourself. She looked at the baby sleeping in her lap and realized she'd never thought of giving him one. That night, under the silver wash of moonlight, she whispered to the baby, Eli. Your name is Eli. The word felt right, like it had been waiting all along. When she told Luke the next morning, he smiled, the kind of smile that reaches the eyes. Good name, he said. Strong. She asked him if he had ever wanted a family. He hesitated before answering. Wanted one once. Didn't work out. Guess I stopped believing it could. She stared at him for a long time, realizing how much he'd given her without asking anything back. In that moment, something shifted, an unspoken understanding blooming quietly between them. Winter came, painting the fields in frost. The cabin became their small world, filled with laughter, baby giggles, and quiet companionship. But one afternoon, a stranger arrived, a man in a long coat, with eyes sharp as knives. He claimed to be looking for a woman who'd run off with a child that wasn't hers. Her heart froze. She held Eli close, trembling as Luke stepped forward. You got proof? Luke asked, his voice calm but firm. The man sneered. She ain't who you think she is. The kid ain't hers. The air between them thickened like storm clouds. Luke turned slowly toward her, his gaze steady. That true? She shook her head, tears burning her eyes. I didn't steal him. I was left with him. I swear. The man laughed cruelly. She's lying. The baby's from a wealthy family up north. Luke's hand moved to rest on the rifle near the door, not threatening, just ready. Then you tell that family he's safe, he said evenly, but he stays here. The stranger sputtered with anger but, seeing the cold fire in Luke's eyes, turned and left into the wind. She collapsed, sobbing into her hands. That night, as she cried by the fire, Luke knelt beside her. You did nothing wrong, he said. Sometimes life hands us broken pieces and calls it a curse. But you built something out of it. She looked up at him through tears. You don't even know who I am. He reached out, gently lifting her chin. Sure I do, he said softly. You're the woman who stayed when she could have run. The one who gave a child a name. That's who you are. In the months that followed, the bond between them grew into something wordless but strong. Eli took his first steps in the field behind the cabin, his laughter echoing through the hills. Luke watched with pride, and she stood beside him, her hand brushing his. Feels like he was always meant to be here, Luke murmured. She smiled through the tears that came too easily now. Maybe we all were. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in gold, Luke turned to her and said, You said you didn't have a name. But you do now. She looked up, startled. He took her hand, eyes gentle. You're Clara. It means bright. Seems fitting. Her breath caught in her chest, and for the first time in years, she smiled fully, freely. Clara, she repeated. I like that. He nodded, his thumb brushing her knuckles.